Hello everyone. This year I'm going to attempt my first top 10 games of the year video. Now, if you're new to my channel, I do play a wide variety of games, but survival and RPG are my favorite types of games, so you will see them probably more often than any other game. Now, with the top 10 list, it's going to be of new release games of 2022 that I played in 2022. Now, I may make a list of the top early access games that I played this year, or maybe last year, depends when that video comes out. But there are a great many games that came out this year, but as a small content creator, I don't have the time or the money to play them all. So, and also let you know, all the games on this list I enjoyed playing. So let's kick it off. Okay, at number 10, we got Wigmund. Now, Wigmund is an isometric open-world fantasy with real-time combat made by indie developer Scholastics. Now, the first thing I noticed when I started playing the game is the vibrant colors. Kind of remind me of Warcraft 3. So while wandering through the world, you will find yourself exploring the countryside, ruined castles, and caverns, while facing many types of creatures, including dragons. Now, like a lot of other RPGs, Wigmund does have crafting, talent tree, and companions. So let's start with crafting. Now with crafting, there's 3 categories that you can craft from. One is crafting, medicine, and then survival. Now crafting is where you'll craft your armor and enhancements, so you can enhance your armor. Medicine is where you'll be crafting your potions and your bandages, and survival is where you'll craft your food, which you use a lot of for your healing. Now, you're able to gather the ingredients through fishing, killing animals for your food and hide, and then there's nodes that you can mine for your metal. Now, with your crafting recipes, you'll find them throughout the game, and you can also purchase them from vendors. Now, with the talent tree in Wigmund, you have 4 paths that you can choose, so you can kind of play any way you want. Now, the 4 paths, there are swords, for mainly 2-handed weapon builds. There's shield for your tanky builds with sword and board. Ranger for your bow builds. And then there's exorcist, which makes you can kind of make a melee caster build. Now, the talent tree does unlock new weapon attacks and spells, depends on how you want to build your character. Now, I kind of went with the 2-handed build with some exorcist, but you can also respec by purchasing runes if you want to try different builds. Now, later in the game, you're able to also pick up companions, up to 2, that can help you out through the game. They're not very powerful or extremely helpful. I mainly used them for cannon fodder. So, yeah, that's kind of what I did. They needed some work on there. Now, the combat in the game, I did find engaging and fun. So you'll have your dodging, blocking, of course, the weapon attacks, but the weapon attacks, the combat could use some work. The dodging didn't seem to work all that well in certain fights, and the weapon skills are a little lackluster. But overall, I did enjoy the game, and I think the good outweighs the bad, so that's why it's in my number 10 slot. And number 9 on the list is Retreat to Enen. Now, I've been saying this wrong the whole series, but it's Retreat to Enen. Now, Retreat to Enen is a relaxing first-person survival game by Head West. Retreat to Enen is set 1,500 years into the future, where you have to survive by gathering resources and building yourself a shelter. Now, you're sent to Enen to learn how to become one with nature, since the human race almost destroyed Earth. So not only do you have to worry about eating, drinking, and temperature, you also have to worry about keeping your spirit up. And you can keep your spirit up by using meditation huts. Now, Retreat to Enen has 3 different biomes to explore. There's a tropical forest, a dense redwood-like forest, and the frozen north. Now, as you wander through the biomes, you will find ruins where you can meditate and unlock new crafting recipes. There's caves to explore and wild animals to hunt. Now, even though Retreat to Enen isn't very dangerous, there are some dangers to look out for, such as venomous snakes, parasites, the cold, wolves, and bears. Now, as you wander through these biomes, you'll run into these ruins. There's 3 ruins for each biome. Those ruins, you unlocked, like I mentioned, you unlock the new recipes. But also by unlocking all 9 of them, you're able to leave Enen and return home. Well, Retreat to Enen is one of the type of games that I enjoy the most. I love survival games, so that's why it's on the list. But there are still some issues with Retreat to Enen. Now, I never ran into many issues until towards the end of the game, when I got to the Frozen North, where like your body would just, you couldn't move, and then you were just kind of like tractor beamed a little slowly towards a rock or a wall, and it made it irritating. You could just jump to get out of it, but it was irritating. And then there's the building, which by placing walls, sometimes they can go in a different slot when you can't put the roof on. That could be a pain. Also, you know, how to tear down your walls and redo it in hopes that it works. But overall, I did enjoy the game because it is one of my type of games that I enjoy the most. Now, if you do enjoy a relaxing survival game, this game may be for you. But if you're looking for a more action, you might get a little bored with this game. And in the 8th spot, we got Weird West. Now, Weird West is an isometric shooter RPG by the developers Wolf-Eye Studio and published by Devolver Digital. And Weird West is set in a dark fantasy world full of cultist and supernatural creatures. Now, in Weird West, there are 5 chapters or stories, where each chapter you play a different character, and each character is unique and has different playstyle and abilities. So you'll be playing as a bounty hunter, a pigman, a werewolf, a protector, and an onirist, and along with your companions that you pick up along the way. Now, as you explore the world, you will find towns, farms, mines, and many other hidden locations. Although the map does feel kind of empty, I was wanting more places to explore. But what I did find, I did enjoy. So now overall, I did enjoy the game. The combat was fun, and I enjoyed the story and the uniqueness of the characters. But I'm also a big fan of dark fantasy games. So you'll see later on the list. Now in the 7th spot is the most recently released game, and that is IXION. IXION was released at the beginning of December. Now IXION is a sci-fi city builder by the developers of Bulwark Studios. In IXION, we're in charge of a space station that is going to be used as a colony ship since the Earth is dying. So on a test run, a major catastrophe happened, and upon our return, we find the human race is no longer on Earth, and we must find out where they went and what happened. So we need to make sure that our colonists, that there's plenty of jobs, food, power, and happiness. The Space Station Tycoon has 6 sectors that can be unlocked as we expand our colony. You also have ships that will be mining and collecting resources from asteroids, and you do have a science ship that will scan planets and derelict space stations, looking for resources, people, and answers to where the human population went. Now, like most city builders, we will be researching new buildings and upgrades to improve the life on our station. Also, as the leader of the Tycoon, you will have to deal with the request from colonists that you can either accept or decline, and the consequences of those decisions. Now, the one thing I did not care for is when the Tycoon jumps to other systems, the hull takes damage, and that damage is unrepairable. I'm not sure why, but it does. And once your hull gets down to 0, you explode, game over. Now, I really enjoyed this game. Probably one of my top, if not the top, city builder. And what really helps is I love space. So things that have to do with space just bumps it up a little bit higher. Now, the reason why the game isn't higher on the list, even though I like city builders, they are not my favorite genre of game. But if you enjoy city builders, I highly recommend this one because I am a fan of it. And sixth on the list is Expeditions Rome. Now, Expeditions Rome is a Roman, party-based, turn-based RPG by the developers Logic Artists. Now, this game surprised me. I wasn't 100% sure what to expect when I started this game. This game blew me away. It was so much fun. Now, in Expeditions Rome, we have to flee Rome after our father was murdered by a political opponent, and then we hide out in a military camp. Now, this is where our journey starts to becoming a legatus. Now, in our journey, we do have 5 unique companions that do accompany us along the way. Now, in the game, there are 3 war campaigns where we'll need to conquer the lands, defend on what we've taken. We will also explore the maps with our companions, opening up new areas for our legion to conquer. Now, as we progress through the game, you and your companions do level up, and you have a variety of skills and abilities to choose from. Now, there are 2 types of fighting in the game. One is your legion, where you just select battle tactics to defeat the enemy. Now, I didn't find this fighting overly exciting, but it wasn't all that time-consuming. But yeah, I just found that kind of boring. Now, the combat with your companions is turn-based and requires tactics, and the battles were quite fun, even though some of the maps were the same. So between the story of you becoming a great legatus with your legion, your choices you make matter in the end. Turn-based combat, especially the battles at the end of the campaigns, were amazing. I had so much fun in this game. If you are interested in turn-based role-playing games, I think you would enjoy this. And number 5 on our list is Dying Light 2: Stay Human. Now, Dying Light 2 is an open-world action survival game developed by Techland. Now, in Dying Light 2, you need to survive zombies and bandits using your parkour skills. But when it comes to night, the zombies wake up and you become the hunted. All while trying to make allies and trying to remember your past. Now, Dying Light 2 is not the type of game I normally would play, but I am so glad I did. With the fast-paced combat, the sneaking around the zombies, and running for your life to find safety at night, I kind of felt the fear of being in those situations. And personally, as someone who is afraid of heights, the skyscrapers, when you're climbing up those and parkouring, scared the crap out of me. But lucky I was able to unwind by dismembering bandits and zombies with the creative weapons and skills. Now, I don't have tons to say on this game because I don't want to spoil any of the story. So some of these on my list are going to be kind of short because I don't want to spoil anything in there. Now, with Dying Light 2, I have seen many people claiming that's not as good as the first game. But I myself have never played the first game, so I can't really compare it to 2. All I could say is I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Now, 4th on the list is Hard West 2. Now, Hard West 2 is a Wild West supernatural tactical turn-based game by Ice Code Games. In Hard West 2, we control a posse of outlaws with supernatural powers that sold our souls to the devil when a train robbery went bad. So we start wandering the lands, hunting down the devil to get our souls back. Now, in Hard West 2, like a lot of tactical games, you have action point system for your attacks and movement. But in Hard West, you have the bravado system, where when you kill an enemy, you get all your action points back. So in Hard West, you're also able to ricochet bullets off of signs, pails, wheelbarrows, pretty much about anything metal. Now with this system, you can strategize on how to take out the most enemies on your turn. Now, I was completely surprised at how much I loved the ricochet and the bravado system, and now wanting more games to have systems like this. Now, in Hard West, you do collect cards that provide passive bonuses And by making poker hands, like pairs, flushes, or straights, you unlock perks that can make your posse more powerful. For example, Laughing Deer has a skill called Wild Run that the further he moves, the more damage he does. So by equipping him with a straight flush of clubs, you unlock Wild Run 3, which increases his damage, and then the passive bonuses you get from the clubs suit increases your run distance, making him pretty much about able to one-shot most enemies in the game. So, yeah, you send him in there, and he just takes out so many people. It's fantastic. As you can tell, I had so much fun in this game. So much fun. With the dark fantasy setting, which I love, the story, the characters' abilities, the bravado system, the ricocheting, definitely put this game into the top 4. If you like tactical turn-based games, I would recommend giving this a try. And a lot of times, even the first Hard West game is on sale and it makes it quite cheap. You can give that one a try. I haven't tried it yet myself, but I will soon because I do have it. Now, number 3 on the list is Elex 2. Now, Elex 2 is an open-world sci-fi fantasy RPG by Piranha Bytes, who also made the Gothic and Risen series. Now, Elex 2 continues the story of Jax several years after he defeated the hybrid, now with a new threat from the sky. And once again, you must unite the factions to save the world and to protect his son. Now, there are 5 factions that you can join, and each faction provides different skills. You're also able to pick up companions that'll fight along beside you, which is a huge help and pretty much a must early on in the game. Now, Elex 2 didn't seem to improve much from the first game, but I really liked the first game, so it wasn't a huge deal to me, but yeah, it would be nice if I saw some improvements, or more improvements, I should say. But one of the improvements I did enjoy was the upgrading of the jetpack. Now, with enough upgrades to your jetpack, you're just able to fly across the world. Makes exploration and getting to other places real easy. And like other Piranha Bytes games, the combat is a bit janky. I still enjoyed the play, but it is a little janky. But they also do a great job making you feel weak from the start. So it feels like you accomplish stuff throughout the game as you get more powerful. Now, even with all the flaws, I did find Elex 2 a very enjoyable game, and open world RPGs are my favorite type of games. So that's why it is so high on my list. Now, with the next top two, I couldn't really decide what I wanted as number 1. So, one of them had to be number 2. So let's get on to number 2, see what I picked. Okay, we're down to number 2. Number 2 is King Arthur: A Knight's Tale. Now, King Arthur: A Knight's Tale is a dark fantasy turn-based tactical RPG by the developers Neocore Games, who also made the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing series and the Warhammer 40k Inquisitor. Now, in King Arthur: A Knight's Tale, King Arthur and Mordred fight to the death, killing each other. Now, you play as Mordred, resurrected to kill, and the also resurrected and corrupt King Arthur. So on your hunt for King Arthur, you'll recruit other notable characters from the legend and move into the upgradable Camelot. Now, there are 6 different classes to pick from in the lineup, and they can be upgraded to gain new skills. You can also upgrade your followers' equipment through missions and the shops in Camelot. Now, one thing to worry about in the game is that your heroes can permanently die, so you do have to make sure they're stayed healed up between missions. There is also a skill tree in the game where you actually decide what skills and heroes you can unlock, which gives the game replayability. Now, with King Arthur, the turn-based combat, the difference between the classes, the story, and the dark fantasy settings, I found it hard to find something I did not like about this game. Like I mentioned a few games before, I love the dark fantasy settings. Everything about this game I loved. I put about 100 hours into the game, and loved every second of it. But if you really enjoy tactical turn-based RPGs with the dark settings, I highly recommend this game. And now we get to number 1. Now, number 1 is A Plague Tale Requiem. Now, A Plague Tale Requiem is a story-rich action-adventure game by Asobo Studios. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail because it is a story-rich game. I do not want to give any spoilers. Now, A Plague Tale Requiem continues the story of Amicia and Hugo after escaping the Inquisition once they found out Hugo had the power to control rats. So, in Requiem, Hugo and Amicia are trying to start a new life when Hugo's powers reawaken and they're forced to flee from the rats that destroy everything in their path. And Amicia must run and fight to keep Hugo safe. By fighting, sneaking past enemies, and rats. So many rats. In search for an island that Hugo dreamed of that may save his life or cure him. Now, in Plague Tale Requiem, the music and the visuals are amazing. I think the story is great, but I do prefer the story in the first game better. But like King Arthur, I found it hard to find something I do not like about this game. And that's why it's at the top of my list. Now, I know some of you will disagree with what's on my list. And if so, what games do you have on your list? Let me know in the comments below, because I would love to see what's on your guys' list, because I'm always looking for more great games to play. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.